When John Terry missed that penalty in the 2008 Champions League final, he later admitted he had nightmares about it for years. And then, when Messi missed his penalty in the Copa America final against Chile, he was so devastated, he announced he was retiring from the Argentinian national team, at least for a while. In both cases, life gave them another shot. They got their redemption. But what happens when that second chance never comes? When a single mistake in a huge match feels like it buries your career forever, and you never get to write your comeback story? That's exactly what happened to Loris Karius in a Champions League final. To understand how tragic that night in Kyiv was for Karius, we have to rewind a bit and look at the context. See, missing a penalty when people already expect you to mess up isn't as devastating. It hurts, but it doesn't shock anyone. But when you're seen as a rising star, when people have high hopes for you, that's when the fall hits hardest. And that's what made Karius' fall so brutal. Because before everything went wrong in that final, Karius was a big prospect. At just 15, he was already the starting goalkeeper for Germany's U16 team. Around that time, Manchester City, already so rich they were practically throwing money around, just ask Robinho, took Karius to England. After spending a couple of years there, he returned to Germany to continue his development, and it was back home at Mainz 05 when things really started to take off. At just 19, Karius made his debut as the starting goalkeeper in the Bundesliga. In his first full season as a starter, he was voted the second best keeper in the entire league, only behind some guy named Manuel Neuer. That's how seriously people rated his talent. Then came Liverpool. Karius joined the Reds at 23. In the Premier League, he rotated starts, but what really put him on the map was his Champions League run in the 2017-18 season. He was the starting goalkeeper throughout the European campaign, 13 matches, 6 clean sheets, and a key part of Klopp's high-flying, all-out attacking Liverpool. All he needed was to finish that run with a crowning moment. But what no one knew, not him, not Klopp, not even the most paranoid Real Madrid fan, was that the final wasn't going to be his coronation. Actually, it was going to be the beginning of the end. May 26, 2018, Champions League final, Liverpool versus Real Madrid. On one side, Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Marcelo, Modric, Kroos. On the other, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Van Dijk, and Karius. The match had just started and Karius was already rushing out of his box to cut off a play. He looked sharp and for a brief moment, it felt like maybe Kyiv wasn't going to be a nightmare after all. 3 minutes later, he showed up again. This time not by choice, but because Alexander-Arnold had lost the ball. For much of the first half, Karius looked locked in. He gave off a sense of calm, he looked confident. Then came minute 24. The first tragedy of the night, but this one wasn't on Karius. Sergio Ramos did what Sergio Ramos does. He locked Salah's arm and pulled him down with a kind of subtlety that only someone who spent years perfecting the dark arts can pull off. The referee didn't see a thing. And just like that, Salah, in tears, had to leave the pitch. Near the end of the first half, Karius saved a shot from Ronaldo. Even if the play was offside, it still looked like he was on top of things. Then the second half begins, Isco smashes a shot off the post, Real Madrid started to crank up the pressure, Liverpool started to fall apart, and then comes minute 50. Karius catches the ball after a long pass. Benzema is nearby, but not close enough to be a threat. Or so it seems. The German wants to start the counter quickly, so he goes to throw it out with his right hand. And then, in a moment that defies all logic, he tries to roll the ball under his arm, not realizing that Benzema has already stretched out his leg. The ball bounces off the Frenchman's foot and rolls, slowly, humiliatingly, into the back of the net. Goal for Madrid. 1-0. Total silence. Nobody can believe it. The mistake is so absurd that Liverpool fans are just staring at the screen, hoping something can undo it. Maybe VAR saw a foul, maybe a handball, maybe anything. But no, the play goes back in motion. The game isn't going to rewind all the way to Ramos' foul on Salah in the first half. Once the kickoff happens, even the most hopeful fan gives up. Goal confirmed. Madrid leads. And Karius, in disbelief, is left arguing, probably not even sure what just happened himself. But then, just 4 minutes later, Mane finds the equalizer. As if football itself wanted to give Karius a second chance. 1-1. And for a few moments, even Karius seems to believe it was just a fluke. He makes a good save on Isco, starts looking like a keeper again, then Gareth Bale comes on, and with the first ball he touches, he goes for a bicycle kick. Goal. Some say Karius didn't even try to stop it, others say he could have done more. But really, that one was more about Bale's brilliance than a Karius mistake. Minute 80, Benzema tries again. This time, Karius stops him, but just 2 minutes later, Bale shoots from a distance straight at Karius. He tries to catch it, but the ball slips through his hands like it's coated in soap or something. It trickles and goal. Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1. And that was it. The final whistle blows. And Karius, all he could do was break down in tears. Inconsolable. And just like that, overnight, Loris Karius' career changed forever. From a promising goalkeeper to a viral meme, the blow was massive. Even legendary goalkeepers like Oliver Kahn said it would be incredibly hard to come back from something like that.
Ja, so ein Abend kann auch eine Karriere zerstören. Weil er ist ja jetzt nicht einer, der das schon häufig erlebt hat, für den das jetzt das zweite oder dritte Finale ist, der schon...
Online, the narrative was brutal. Karius was labeled one of the worst goalkeepers ever. He got insults, threats, an endless ridicule, and not even a medical explanation could change people's minds. That's right. A few days after the final, Karius underwent medical examination at Massachusetts General Hospital. The results showed he had suffered a concussion caused by a hit from Sergio Ramos in the 48th minute of the match. At first, it didn't seem like anything, but according to the report, the concussion could have affected his peripheral vision. And if you look at the first blunder, that's exactly what it looks like. Even so, no one cared. Klopp publicly defended him, but deep down, the club knew there was no going back. And that's how Alisson Becker arrived. Karius was loaned out to Turkey, Besiktas was waiting for him, and on paper, it looked like the perfect place, far from the spotlight. In Turkey, he had some good moments, solid saves, a few strong performances, but also more mistakes. And in places like Turkey, where fans don't forget errors easily, he was never really seen as a top keeper. Later, he was loaned to Union Berlin, but only played 5 games. In 2022, he signed with Newcastle United as a free agent. Nobody expected anything. He was a backup, only there in case everyone else got injured. And that's exactly what happened for the 2023 EFL Cup final against Manchester United. Against all odds, Karius was the starter. Once again a final, once again the ghost of Kyiv. It was like fate was offering him a second chance to rewrite the story, but Newcastle lost 2-0. And even though it wasn't really his fault, the result added to the curse. Karius doesn't win finals. Football told him no once again. Now Karius is at Schalke 04, but he hasn't played, this time not because of errors, but due to injury. What happened to Karius says a lot about football, especially how we view goalkeepers. In this game, one mistake can make you disappear. But honestly, looking back now, there have been worse performances, and Karius didn't disappear. He kept training, kept chasing chances. Maybe he'll never become the superstar people once predicted, but as he said himself, now he just wants to play football. And in the end, maybe that's what really matters, still enjoying the game.